Exclusive interview. Mike Glad in his anime collection that broke auction records. This past weekend, Heritage Auctions, the Art Anime and Everything Cool signature auction brought in $2,180,954, breaking records. Mike Glad, the original owner of the collection, first got interested in anime art, drawing his friend John Hallas of the British animation company Hallas Bachelor. He told me about Tezuka and Renzo Kinoshita, and they were both in his book Masters of Animation, Glad to Otoko USA. I wrote to both Renzo Kinoshita and Tezuka. Tezuka responded. Kinoshita didn't. Tezuka sent me a water color painting and a model of sheet. And I thought they were great, so then I started exploring further. His next good contract was his friend, Jerry Beck. He and a guy named Carl Makek and a company called Streamline Pictures, and they did the distribution of Akira, among other films, for the Japanese studios. None of the big studios, albeit Disney or Fox, will do the distribution. They felt that anime was a sort of third world culture. Jerry had talked the producers of Akira, and they were going to throw all the artwork away. Thankfully, the artwork was safe. Jerry said, "Don't do that, I'll take some." And they sent him and all. Every single frame they had left. Of course, Carl ended up with it. And then Glad ended up with some of it for Makek. I hadn't been doing other art shows of animation, and I had done a show called Oscars in animation. Every animation that show was for an Oscar winner. There weren't any Japanese Oscar winners. I met a girl who worked at the Frankfurt Film Museum, Jessica Neobel. Jessica came to my house for inventory, and I showed her the Akira and Tezuka materials and Robo Carnival, and the manager accumulate because I thought it was really neat. Neil Bell suggested to do a show of his anime collection. I went to Oscars in animation. When the idea of doing the show in Germany, I started pursuing it. Anime collecting a little more. The lion's share of what I got comes from Karl Makek, a guy Robert Zemet of the Carrera Fine Art. Got me a lot of the Miyazaki material in LA. They weren't giving the stuff away at this point. Everything Miyazaki was expensive. Nothing like what the pieces sold for this past weekend. But there were thousands of dollars, not hundreds of dollars. I keep studying anime, trying to get the right material so we could tell the history of anime in Frankfurt. And how did the anime exhibit do? It was a blockbuster, Glad recalled. We got tons of people on the opening, more than almost any show I ever done. The enthusiasm for it was great. Then the set it up to go to the Louisiana Museum in Denmark, which is a fine art museum. Interestingly enough, we displayed in there. And then there was a museum of Belgium in Ghent. I think there was another at Potsdam, Germany, and it was also displayed at the Motion Picture Academy of Beverly Hills. At the travel over quite a few years, and the material ultimately ended up back with me. One night I was in the internet. They give the auctions results and displays in Hong Kong, and they had these anime pieces that sold quite impressively. With the show over, they decided to sell his collection, and he knew exactly who he wanted to work with for the auction. I knew Jim Lenz, director of animation art at Heritage Auctions. Personally, we had similar careers at one point, and I always respected his integrity. We got together, and I said, "Look, here's an idea." He got fired up. As it turned out, it was quite rewarding too. I hadn't anticipated it would behave at all like it did, but it was fun to do. His entire anime collection is not gone. In fact, he took part a little in the auction himself. I did buy back 3 of the pieces. The Renzo Kinoshita I got because it's inexpensive, and I think he's overlooked yet. He did a very important film. I also got the Miyazaki little piece, and one Robo Carnival that happened to be my favorite Robo Carnival. So if I ever do a show called Masters of Animation, at least I have something to offer. And by the way, I paid the same premiums as everyone else. I didn't ask for a break. He talked about some of his favorite pieces. Obviously, the main characters, whether it be Sailor Moon or Pokemon, getting a good image from them is quite rewarding because it's recognizable to people, and it's what they gravitate towards. Kaneda on the motorcycle from Akira, and how do you top that? I think that was about as good as it gets. 3 pieces that stand out happen to be the ones that sold for the most. And he talked about his love of My Neighbor Totoro. A single sale from it received $78,000, the most of anything at the auction. I love that film. I love it before I could even get it in English. I could only watch it in Japanese. I think it's a great film. It's so positive and reinforcing is iconic for sure. As a final thought, Glad said, Heritage Auctions impressed me immensely, and Dreamlands is knowledgeable. A couple of the pieces hit the soul in anime were as strong as the best of animation from Walt Disney, Warner Brothers, or any of them. It says a lot about what we accomplished. I think there will be lots more anime sales. I love to see it being collected, and I think the future is really bright.